All right, so let's read the passage first. As a generation, we are rethinking what we are to others. Our technological prowess has become a wireless lifeline for others. Some of us apply ourselves to innovation, hackathons, and other forms of technological creativity. Our families look to us to know how to use technology both to waste time and to make meaning. Some of us set up FaceTime for those denied face to face time. So, in this sentence, we sense a bit of uh, satire, bit of um, discontent or disagreement with the status quo. A hint of that, not an explicit criticism for sure. We show them it will be okay that digital relationships are real relationships, though in fact we are not always sure. So here it gets a bit more direct, although still not very, very overt, but yeah, more explicit than in the previous sentence. All right. So it does acknowledge that the modern time uh, has become a time of virtual connectivity, of digital interconnectedness, and that it has a very pervasive effect on various life activities. Okay? That's the overall idea of the passage, and a key fact uniting factor for all the sentences of the paragraph, like um core underlying concept is the concept of relationships and the effect that uh, the digital era has had on human relationships, how it has changed human relationship dynamics. That is something that seems to be at the crux of the passage, or the main idea of the passage is lying at the heart of the passage. How uh, technological prowess has changed relationship dynamics pervasively. Right, that is the main idea of the passage. Now let's um, attempt the questions. So, what is the question? Which of the following will be a most meaningful conclusion of the passage? Okay, always read the question carefully. Check whether there is a not or not. Right here, there is no not. It's only asking which is the most meaningful conclusion. Right. So we have to choose the option which is the most uh, relevant, most central conclusion, which most comprehensively captures the core essence of the excerpt passage given to us. Okay, so the first option, change is the only constant in life, so people must embrace technology. So first of all, this option says must embrace technology. There is no imperative in the passage that people ought to, people should uh, embrace technology. The passage, nowhere does the passage uh, give anything that leads us to believe that it is trying to compel or persuade people, trying to force people or persuade people to embrace technology, to adopt technology, that you definitely should adopt technology or else you'll not survive or it will not be good for you. Only if you adopt technology, you can survive. It doesn't say anything like that. So option A doesn't make sense, right? And again, option A doesn't talk of change being the only constant in life in general. It talks of something very specific, that is technology, technological change, the technological, how technology changes relationships, not change in general, not uh, life in general and change in life in general. So the first part of option A is very, very broad, very vague, and definitely not covered by the passage. So option A is wrong for multiple reasons, as elucidated. Now let's move on to option B. Technological advancement helps society derive meaning from work. So let's see if that is the case. Now, definitely the latter part of the passage clearly doesn't agree with option B. I mean, there's not really a lot of meaning that we are deriving from it. It says that, yeah, we are wasting time. The one sentence in the passage does talk about it. Our families look to us to know how to use technology, both to waste time and to make meaning. So, yeah, trying to make meaning or expecting that we would know how to make meaning out of it, right? Not necessarily that we are able to do it, right? And even if one sentence hints at it, that too seems to be more of a sort of underlining the passage, underlining an expectation, not that it is actually fulfilled. But even then, it's not the central idea of the passage, right? Because the passage in its concluding two lines, right? So uh, the passage itself is like 5 sentences, 6 sentences, and the last 2 lines bring the conclusion to relationships, right? And option B does not tell us anything specifically about relationships. Yeah, of course, there could be a hint of social relationships vaguely in general, but nothing of an impact and a slightly negative impact on human relationships. So option B uh, is again only justified, that too not justified, but only weakly touches upon one sentence of the passage. Now let's move on to the next option. The pandemic has increased societal dependence on technology. The passage nowhere talks about the pandemic, so we can outright eliminate it there, right? And uh, even if there was an implicit hint, we could have considered it, but there is absolutely nothing in the passage that gives a time frame or tells that it is set in a particular era or a particular time, or it even vaguely references the pandemic or the effects of the pandemic. It's nowhere mentioned, so C can be outright eliminated. Then we talk of, let's see, option D. Technology is destroying families and communities. Now, since the passage is mildly critical, this seems to align with it, albeit it's very extreme. So the passage asks us to not does not like really ask it, kind of directs us to think upon how relationships have changed, right? And how slightly uh, direct our thinking towards looking at the downsides or the potential ill effects of it in conclusion, right? uh, Here option D is making an extreme statement that technology is destroying families and communities. The maximum that the passage goes for comparison is that our relationships might not, or what the passage says is, we might not be sure that the relationships that we forge digitally, right, or that we maintain digitally, are very real. So option D is extremely definite in its wording and phrasing. Technology is destroying families and communities. It's not even like technology is perhaps destroying families and communities, and destroying word itself is extremely strong. So for that reason, option D is again wrong. Finally, option E. Technology usage has changed social relations for this generation, right? This makes sense. So in the beginning of the passage, as we see, the first 4 lines are uh, the first yeah the first 4 lines are more or less neutral, right, in saying that neither encouraging nor discouraging. It's stating that yes, this is the status quo. It's describing the status quo neutrally, that we are thinking how it is, and our technology, it's underscoring the importance of technology in today's times, the status, that the paramountcy that it has acquired as an instrument, right? And how we use innovation, and then how important technology is, that we do even the most trivial of things and the most important of things from it, right? Whether it is favorable, adverse, its effects on our dynamics are good, bad, the first 4 sentences don't tell that to us, right? The concluding 2 sentences, the last 2 sentences, do tell us that. Some of us set up FaceTime for those denied face-to-face time. We show them to be okay. The digital relationships are real relationships, though in fact we are not always sure. So option E says technology usage has changed social relations for this generation. And again, if you look at option E, it is not favoring or disfavoring anything. It's not taking sides really. Option E is not taking sides. It's very fairly neutral. It says technology usage has changed social relations for this generation, and that's why it's completely valid. So in the passage, the first 4 sentences are neutrally describing the status quo, right? And showing the scope of impact of technology and scope of relevance of technology, from small and trivial things to like major, fundamental, uh, impactful things, right? And the last 2 sentences are casting a suspicion, or are asking us to inspect, to be suspicious whether uh, there are downsides to it. It's not explicitly saying that there are definitely downsides to it. It's asking us that maybe there are downsides to it as well, in addition to any upsides possibly, right? So it doesn't talk of the upsides, it hints at the downsides. It doesn't talk of the downsides explicitly either. So option E is the most appropriate since it's neutral, it's comprehensive, and it aligns with all of the sentences. It encompasses all of the sentences and aligns with the main idea in the most appropriate manner. So option E is correct, and yeah.